Hello lovelies, my name's Feta and welcome to Fable Academy, where adventurers old and new learn from the best, but usually the worst. You know, we can give game masters and DMs a bit of a hard time around here. I've only done that a few times myself, and let me tell you, that shit's hard as fuck. Sometimes trying to make a good game for your players is like trying to herd cats. Ugh, and all the prep and energy that goes into it. I still barely know what a VTT is, let alone how to use one. It might sound like fun to run the game and make up the story, but unless your table has the patience of saints, sometimes it can really fall apart on you. And I know a lot of the stories that I read on this channel come down hard on the GMs and the DMs that make these games, or in their cases, break them. But let's be fair here. Sometimes the players can do a damn good job of ruining things on their own, including for the GM, not just the rest of the party. Sometimes players can backseat drive the game, or they can just do everything in their power to fuck up all the awesome shit the DM's got planned for the whole table. But sometimes the worst thing a player can do to a GM is just not give a fuck. A dead-eyed, vacant expression, hand constantly scrolling under the table, stinking up the whole game with the vibe that they'd rather be anywhere else. So today's video is in honor of every game runner that's ever laid it all out on the table for their players and had someone just refuse to pick up a fork. This story is from Metro Zero. Player created character with no attempt to interact with party. For context, I am the GM, and the setting for this game is a university with a Persona-like campaign structure. Sorry, couldn't resist. So, some of the content is in the university, and then players enter these sort of dungeons that exist in a parallel world. I had one player who, when making a character, just refused to help me help them. They describe first their character as a bit of a loner, already a small red flag, who lives with their older sister. So far, it's fine. But then I ask follow-up questions. Cool, so is your character in any clubs or any extracurriculars? No. How about any friends at the university? No, they only really interact with their sister. Their sister doesn't go to the school, by the way. So what about hobbies? Anything your character is into? No, they just like reading. Okay, I need you to help me out here. Your character is at university, class just ended, what are they doing? Probably just going home to read, I think. The guy gave me nothing to work with. And when I asked him, how is your character going to get involved with the plot of the campaign? Again, no answer. I did tell him that to get his character involved without some kind of assistance from the backstory, I'm going to have to make an extremely extroverted NPC that adopts them, which I generally don't like doing. They said they were fine with that. Fast forward to session 1. Since it's a university, I told everyone in session 0 that the first session would be at the club fair that's hosted during the first week of the semester. When I asked him what his character would be doing, he said his character wouldn't be there at all and would just go home. I had to create a side scene where the extroverted NPC I made literally forces him to go to the club fair. And I think the part I found frustrating was that I told him I was going to do this, and he agreed to have an NPC adopt him, but he was still resistant to it. But eventually I get his character to the club fair, where he refuses to interact with the other players. Then the quest starts. Enemies spawn, people panic, players fight off the bad guy and can follow them through a portal into that parallel world I mentioned before. 4 out of 5 players agreed they were going in. The subject of this post just says his character leaves without saying anything. The 4 out of 5 who I think at this point were annoyed with that character decide to go in. So I tried to be clever and narrate for the last guy. You see the 4 other students go into the portal. Would your character have any sense of heroism? Maybe realize that there is strength in numbers and you can make a difference? He already left. At this point, I just got fed up and said, okay, here's the deal, man. If you don't go into that portal, you just don't get to play next session. 4 out of 5 party members want to do a dungeon. I'm not about to do a 4-to-1 party split where the one just reads a book in their home. I hear him audibly get annoyed and just say something along the lines of, fine, my character feels a forceful tug as he gets magically pulled into the portal. He ended up leaving the campaign after that with a passive-aggressive message in chat. I was gonna give him the boot anyway, so it worked out. But it still shocks me how people will sign up for a D&D game and just refuse to interact with other people. Ugh. You know that old expression, it's like pulling teeth? Well, I think I'd rather go get my teeth pulled out than deal with a player like this at my table. OP, I'm on the same page as you right now. Why do some people decide to play a game if they're not going to play a game? Sure, sometimes the loner character can be fun, but these games are all about give and take. You only get out as much as you put in. I mean, I can't even tell where this guy was going with this. I mean, part of me thinks he was trying to pull the spotlight along with him, make himself the protagonist right off the bat by making his character more important than the actual story. It's like he was expecting you to make the story fit around him and him alone until he was satisfied enough to actually participate. Yeah, here's the thing, buddy. Following your apathetic misanthrope to go read in his room is not as interesting as a portal to another dimension full of monsters to fight. I wanna say this is like trying to put Daria in a Persona game, but that does both Daria and Persona dirty. Because not only are quiet bookworms and/or antisocial lone wolves fully at home in the Persona universe, but also Daria ended on a whole-ass episode, Boxing Daria, where Daria takes a look at herself and realizes that her personality is tough for people to deal with, including her parents, and a lot of her problems are due to her blocking out other people, not necessarily other people blocking her out. It's one of the best episodes of the whole show, and it sets up the finale movie so well, and I will never forgive them for cancelling the Jodie movie! But I digress. OP, you've got 4 players already jumping into portals who aren't expecting you to go out of your way to include them in their own separate B story. You already said that you don't like making NPCs to string along the players, but this guy was fine with it. Gee, thanks for being fine with someone expending heaps of unnecessary effort doing something they don't like to do. I don't know what this guy's endgame was, but it sounds like he either didn't want to play the game in the first place, or he didn't know how to play as part of a table and not just be player 1. Don't sweat the spectator and save that energy for the real heroes at your table. And, well, if there's an empty space at that table now, hit me up, cause that game sounds fun as hell. Seriously, some people don't know how good they get it until they get it taken away. But that's just my thoughts on this story. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you real soon for our next lesson in Fable Academy.